He's the head of business marketing, messaging, and emerging platforms, which covers a lot, including virtual reality. We may talk a bit about that too. It's a pleasure to have Asher Rapkin.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Happy to be here.
Asher, let's maybe start from 30,000 feet. Give us just your high-level view of luxury and social media.
From a high level, when we think about luxury brands in general, so much, and this is something that we see in the social space a lot, is about storytelling. And the media right now is fascinating because it's not just, of course, storytelling from the perspective of the brand. We're seeing people who are wildly passionate tell stories in their own voice, which of course is sometimes scary, sometimes challenging, sometimes not always the most exciting thing to see, and sometimes absolutely exhilarating. So as we look at all these new technologies coming to bear, we have an incredible opportunity now to provide tools to not just brands, but also those who are passionate about it, to tell the story of the brand on behalf of their own passion. And that is super exciting.
So the brands have been very hesitant to jump into the social media space, right? They've been observing for a long time and testing some very small localized things and so on. Now suddenly in the last, 2 years, 18 months, this is rush. Do you see any specific trend?
In the last few years, we've just seen such a massive explosion in usage. Instagram is the definition of visual storytelling, right? You've got on the left here an example from IWC, sharing very rich video content. You've got Cartier telling a clear brand story. And of course, with JLC, you're seeing the operational value of Instagram, the ability to drive installs, the ability to drive directly to sales. But I think what's really cool about Instagram in general, and this probably is not a surprise to anyone in this room because I imagine not just in the industry, but also watch fans explicitly, it's like this is where we go to be inspired. And inspiration often, ideally, leads to purchase. So there's a very natural link between I see this, I want to see more of it, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole of hashtags and friends and build my followers, and then from there, I'm probably going to want to make a purchase.
What about Facebook and luxury? Many brands have built quite a presence there. We have some examples of that too, but the grammar here, of course, is different.
Yeah.
How?
Well, Facebook is a much more robust platform in terms of its feature set than Instagram. The part of the beauty of Instagram is its simplicity. Facebook offers everything in the kitchen sink. And when we look at luxury in the context of Facebook, it's much more about community in I think, a more traditional digital way. If I see something amazing, here on the floor, it's going to go to Instagram because that allows that instant sharing and that, just clear expression.
Yeah.
Versus Facebook, where I'm probably going to be trying to drive discussion or commerce. So it's a slightly different space, even if they do overlap on the back end.
What is the role and what is the impact of the influencers? Are they kind of changing the rule of marketing around themselves, or how do you see those characters?
Yeah, I think it's a little too early to tell, and I'll give you a couple of examples. Yeah. There are some examples right now of influencers that have millions of followers that get endorsements that are incredibly well known. I'm thinking specifically of one on Instagram called Michaela. If you're not familiar with this, Michaela, I'm seeing one nod. Michaela is an influencer that gets all sorts of different luxury sponsorships, et cetera, has millions of followers. The thing about Michaela is she's actually not real. She's a robot, and she's being dressed up and meeting the brief in that way, yeah. which is both, I think, an incredible truth about what we're seeing today, but also kind of an interesting social experiment in terms of what authenticity means. So there's that on that side. And then there's a lot of truth to the fact that there are communities of people that follow celebrities, that follow personalities, and what those personalities decide to share, if it does come from an honest and authentic place, does drive value.
What do you see as the potential for VR and AR in terms of luxury, in terms of watchmakers?
Arguably, there's three worlds that we inhabit now, right? There's the physical world, there's the augmented world, and there's the virtual world. And the space between the three is pretty thick right now. And the entry points into the augmented and certainly into the virtual are pretty limited. But they're all here, and people are in them. I think in order for us to see significant value, there's a technological gap and a hardware gap that has to close. I mean, part of the reason why I think there was so much excitement around AR and VR is that people see the creative opportunity, but then they get very frustrated because like 3 people do it. In VR, the rules of space and time and physics don't apply. You can will anything into existence. So if you take that and you move it over to the opportunity of what we were talking about earlier about authenticity and brand storytelling, you can take the core of what makes someone so passionate about your brand. So that could be the artisanship that goes into its construction. That could be its heritage. That could be anything in between. And you can put someone in that and have them truly have the experience. So you've got some brands that are doing that in the real world right now, right? Panerai is doing that right now by offering an experience tied to a watch. Other brands are as well. But you could make that more dispersed and more widely available as virtual reality becomes more plausible, so that just by being an owner or just by being part of a group, you have access to all these amazing new worlds. So it's not just tied to like going into a virtual watch shop and buying a virtual watch. That's probably not it. It's more about like, how do I take what makes me so special as a brand and make that into a scaled experience I can give someone else.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, thank you.
And to giving us some of your knowledge and time. Thank you.
That's my pleasure. Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
No worries.